Hey there, I'm Vicki from Aussie Stampers. Welcome to my channel. Today I have a traveller's notebook, and this is the book that I purchased down at my Hot Dollar shop, and it was only $2.50. It's gridded, so I bought a whole stack of them. But when I was going on my nature walk, I saw an echidna, and we live near the Royal National Park in Sydney. So I've got all these lovely little bits and pieces to put into my journal spread, including a brown paper bag. If you have a look at this bag, this was actually a bag that some pillowcases came in, and I keep all my die cuts in here. I just cut off that sticky bit on the end, and it's fabulous for keeping those. So I've got a few little bits of ephemera that I've created earlier. This particular little tag has some vellum in it. This is the Lovely as a Tree stamp set and the Oh So Eclectic stamp sets. These are the two sets that I'm going to be using today in the spread. Now I have some Sahara sand cardstock, and I'm going to mat that little echidna onto the Sahara sand, and I'm going to leave a bit of space at the bottom so that I can write the word echidna underneath. And I have this pen, I've had it for years and years. It's a Creative Memories pen. I think I've had it for over 20 years. It's still going strong. And I'm just going to carefully write the word echidna in there. And that's going to be the focus of my page, because I was so surprised to see this gorgeous little echidna when I was on my walk. So I'm going to tear the edge of this brown paper bag, and I'm going to keep the rest of the bag for later, but that's going to form a little pocket down the bottom of the page, and I'm going to put that little leaf that has a circle of vellum on the back of it in as a tag. Now I have my stamping mat under me, and I'm using that large leaf image from the Lovely as a Tree set, and I'm using Wild Wasabi ink, and I'm going to stamp that onto the edge. And I like really nice neat stamping. I don't like random stamping or shabby stamping. I'm really pleased that this stamped so well, because that's what I'm trying to achieve here. And I wasn't sure how it would go on the book, but because it has a stamping mat under it, it's giving me a beautiful crisp image. Now I know with this one I'm using early espresso ink. I know it's right near the spine on this side, so it might miss a little bit, but that's okay, because I can bring my marker in and add any more details so it doesn't stamp 100%. And there's just a tiny bit on the edge that's missing, so I'm going to stamp it again on this side, and then bring in my early espresso marker in the fine tip and just fill in the little details of that tree on the first page that's just on the right there, just there. I'm going to just fill it in. It's easy enough to do. You can just kind of guess where the branches are going to be. And now I'm going to use my glue stick and adhere that corner on the edge of the page. This is gridded paper, and I love working with gridded paper because it helps you line everything up. I'm just going to tear the edge off there, and I have a little brown tag. This little tag I just bought at the dollar store, and I'm going to use the thick end of my marker to write the words Nature Walk. So this is going to act like a title, I guess, for my page, but it's in the form of a tag, so it makes it a little bit more interesting. And I'm just going to tie that onto the end of that leaf that I've cut out using a die cut. And it has a little circle of vellum behind it too, which I like. It makes it a little bit more sturdy to poke into that corner pocket. Now here is some beautiful fern that I got from my garden. When I came back from my work, I plucked this out of my front garden, and I was remembering how pretty it was while I was on my walk, and we're not far at all from the beautiful bushwalks here. Now I'm using some fine tip glue, and this is a die cut that I had in my stash, and I think this might be crumb cake or something like that, the colour. I'm just going to pop that underneath the photograph of the echidna, just like so. Pop the lid back on, and I'm going to adhere that with my glue stick. And Stampin' Up! I've stopped making these glue sticks, so I've got a whole stash of them in my craft cupboard, so I'm just going to use them up as much as I can. Okay, now I have some vellum, and I'm going to just rip this down the side. and create a little layer to place under that stamped image. I didn't put glue stick all the way at the bottom because I knew I wanted to tuck something under there. So I'm just going to tuck this under now. And lift it up a little bit so that you can get that dimension happening. And now I'm bringing in the stamp from Oh So Eclectic. It has like little crosses on it, and I'm using the Wild Wasabi ink, and I just love this. It's a nice little background. I like it. I'm going to go back over with that really fine tip pen on the word echidna and just putting a couple of thick lines on the left hand side of each letter just to make it look a little bit more fancy. Now I have some washi tape in green that I'm just going to pop along the bottom here of the left hand page. Just tidy that end up a bit. It was really lovely seeing this echidna. I was excited about it, and I'm just going to tear off some brown paper from the top of that bag, and I'm going to pop that underneath the vellum and adhere that with some glue stick. So I was really excited to see the echidna. Oh, it was lovely because he was building his little house of sticks, and I could hear a lot of rattling, and I thought, oh, maybe that's a snake. But I thought, I don't think so. It's too noisy for a snake. A snake isn't that noisy. And sure enough, it was a little echidna building his house of sticks. So I've got a sponge, and I'm going to sponge the bottom of that lovely as a tree line of trees just to create some grass. And when you're sponging, the idea is to start light. You can always add more, but if you start too heavy, it's going to really mess up your page. So just have a light touch and keep building and building and building, and just take a little bit of time with it. And this turned out really well. So my heading is going to be January because this is my spread that I want to work on for January. And I'm doing some faux calligraphy, so I'm just putting in some heavier lines on the downstrokes just to make it look more like a fancy calligraphy font that I've used. And now I'm going to do the journaling. Now I'm journaling in that fine tip pen, and it's a lovely brown colour, so it just looks gorgeous with all these colours that I've used. So the story was, walking in the national park behind the primary school, what should I see but a sweet echidna building a house of sticks and twigs. He was a little shy guy, and he scurried away when he saw me approach. I was so thrilled to see him building a home in the park, and I hoped to see him again. But 2 weeks later, he had abandoned his home and moved on. So he had chosen somewhere else to live, but it was lovely to think that I had had such a close-up look at him, and it was a really lovely surprise. And the only thing left to do now is to document the day, which was Tuesday the 9th of the 1st 18, and the time, 10:07 a.m. What a beautiful memory to look back on. And it was a gorgeous walk. It was a beautiful day too, gorgeous weather. And here's the page finished. Now it is strobing a little bit. I had some problems because the light kept changing, and my camera has got a bit of flicker going on. Hopefully that's not too bad for you. So that's the spread finished. And I'm going to be doing a whole series of these traveller's notebooks because I absolutely love working in them. And I think they're a wonderful size for documenting. They're such a small canvas to work on that they are not intimidating like a large canvas can be. So there's the finished page, and I'd love for you to join our Stampers Art Gallery, which is our Facebook group. It's a really friendly crowd of people over there, and I run a competition every month, and I'd love you to come and check out the page and see what we're up to. So that's the Stampers Art Gallery, the Facebook group that's associated with the Aussie Stampers Facebook page. I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll put a link for more videos to follow. Bye for now.